the poll tax. And one of my political opponents in that campaign said if anyone knows how to defeat the poll tax, they should tell Neil Kinnock and the Labour leadership. And my answer to the question was, we do know how to defeat the poll tax. It's mass non-payment, it's industrial action. And the problem we have in local government is that Neil Kinnock and the Labour leadership aren't interested in defeating the poll tax. People have said to me that if mass non-payment takes off, there'll be no money to fund local government workers' jobs and the services will collapse. But in actual fact, the boot is on the other foot, because you've seen councils like Manchester, Leicester, Bristol, the London Borough of Newham, talking about making millions and millions of pounds worth of cuts, closing down entire departments in their authorities in order to keep the poll tax low. And in reality, if the poll tax is enforced on us, local government jobs will go by the million in Britain, and the services on which you depend will be slashed as part of the poll tax forced on you by the Tory government. We've heard today about Thatcher's darling council in Wandsworth setting the lowest poll tax in Britain. That's been done over the years through an absolute ruthless attack on services that ordinary people depend on, that the vulnerable sections of this community in Wandsworth depend on. That's been done on the privatisation of the bin service, the privatisation of refuse collection. That's been achieved on the basis of the highest rents in local government. That's what the poll tax means, and that's why we've got to defeat it. And we have to now take the campaign against the poll tax into our trade union branches and organisations. Because with the kind of support we've seen this week from one end of the country to another, and the support of workers in local government and other trade unions, we can ditch the poll tax, and we can show the faint-hearts at the top of the Labour Party and at the top of the TUC a thing or two about fighting the Tories. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Well, I'd like to take thanks for everyone for staying to the end of this marvellous demonstration. We've got one more speaker, who's Mike Morris, who's from the Merseyside Anti-Poll Tax Federation, responsible for organising this demonstration today.
Brothers and sisters, Nelson Mandela has been released from prison in South Africa after 27 years because of the mass movements taking place in South Africa. Ceausescu lies dead because of the mass movement that took place in Romania. How long does Margaret Thatcher think she can resist the mass movement developing in England, Wales and Scotland against the poll tax that will inevitably bring them down? They've released the figures that the poll tax in Liverpool is likely to be £521. It's not a question that we don't want to pay our taxes. We cannot afford to pay the poll tax at any level, including the level that they're setting it at. They've raised with us, you're breaking the law. You're lawbreakers if you don't pay this tax. We don't need any lessons in breaking the law of people who broke the law, caused the Brugger disaster, the Clapham Rail disaster, the Hillsborough disaster, and every other disaster. The bosses in this country, of course, do law breaking. We can't afford to pay the poll tax, and it's as simple as that. They've tried the tactic of divide and rule, divide and conquer. They thought they'd implement it on Scotland and then bring it to England and Wales and force us to accept it on the back of a defeat of the Scottish working class. We've got news for them. 1 million people in Scotland will be 10 million people in England and Wales, 100,000 in Liverpool not paying the poll tax when it comes in Liverpool. We have an old slogan of the Labour movement: unity is strength. If we stand together, we only have to lift our little finger and we could crush the poll tax with one movement and the Tory government with it. I would appeal to you, don't walk away from this demonstration without signing up and joining this campaign. Put your name down and put a pledge down that you are not going to pay the poll tax. You are not going to desert your brothers and sisters in Scotland. You're going to go over to the stall at the end, over there on my left, and to sign up and say to Thatcher, we're not paying the poll tax. You can bring in all the forces you've got, because when you've got a virtual revolutionary movement developing from Scotland to the Tory shires, then we cannot but be but a part of that. Thank you for attending the demonstration today. Pay no poll tax.
We've got a lobby of the City Council this Wednesday at 5:30 at the Town Hall. I'd urge everyone to go along and show the City Council that we're not going to pay the poll tax and we don't expect them to make any cuts. I've also been passed a notice that there will be a meeting of militant readers in the Legs of Man starting now, where Tommy Sheridan will address the meeting. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this demonstration. Don't go away. Support the mass campaign and on payment. Join the anti-poll tax unions. Forward to victory.
Enough. Would you pay the poll tax?
No.
Why not?
I'm old enough and I'm not paying it. Yeah.
Why do you think it's a bad thing for children?
I haven't got any money as it is. Only on the way yet. I haven't got any money as it is. Then my pay fell down.
Make a donation to help us fight against apartheid in South Africa.
I haven't got any more money to give him. I'm going on tape there and don't get strapped. Oh, well, you'll be with us in spirit. So you'll be with us in spirit.
I'll get you another phone here. Just,
Yeah, another phone there, love. Yeah. Listen, what was arranged to meet, you know, on Tuesday. I've just seen the family demonstration today. Okay. Mind you, it's quite true more that was on the way. The thing about it is that last week we had all stuff away.
how did you not get in the front of the queue there?
Excuse me, can I ask you why you're against the poll tax?
Because I think it's an unfair system.
Okay. And how dangerous do you think it is to the government?
I think it's suicide.
Do you foresee more trouble happening?
Must be.
What about Wednesday's lobby? Will you be attending that? You will. Okay, thank you very much.
I mean, it's just like, again, you know, what they those teachers that go and can mass suicide.
Just making another rule up for England when no people wanted to go on like, because it's getting too many.
What does your mum and dad feel about the poll tax?
They're not paying it.
They're not going to pay it?
No, because it's stupid. She's just making another rule up. I think she's...
Well, I know you're a bit young to be involved in politics, but what do you think about this government?
The government, we don't need it.
Have you seen any effects? Have you seen the government affecting your school?
No.
You haven't? You haven't?
No.
No. So why do you think this government is not the government for you or your family?
Because they keep making all new rules up silly, and then people really don't understand them, and goes all over the place. People want standing up against petitions, like saying that they don't want to do it.
Okay.
Sign up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mrs. Thatcher hasn't done anything for the ordinary people of Britain. All she has done is help the rich to get richer, richer and richer at the expense of poor people. She hasn't done anything for the schools, for better education for the children. She hasn't done anything to make workers' lives better. She hasn't done anything for the pensioner. So she's constantly disrupted the lives of ordinary people in this country. She's been a very bad Prime Minister, and I would not like to see another woman in as a Prime Minister. I'd rather have a man back, and preferably Labour.
Can I ask you, do you have a message for Margaret Thatcher?
Yes. You are cold-hearted. You've got no compassion for the people. None whatsoever. You're a very bad woman.
Thank you.
That's right.
this poll tax is unfair?
Because it doesn't take account of anyone's ability to pay the poll tax. In Liverpool, 72% of the population will not be able to afford to pay the poll tax. They'll be worse off as a result of the implementation of the poll tax. We're going to build a mass campaign of non-payment which will drive the poll tax off the statute.
Okay, you mentioned non-payment, but are you actually going to then advocate that people should break the law to repeal this law?
Unfortunately, when your back's up against the wall, you can't afford to obey a law, then you're forced to break the law. In the 19th century, simply to hold a meeting of more than 5 people was against the law. It was only when working people were prepared to break the law and go on the streets with that law repealed. We are going to break the law to drive the poll tax.
How do you feel the opposition is handling this subject, the Labour government?
Well, unfortunately, the Labour Party has not come out in favour of mass campaign. We're going to build a mass campaign which will hopefully force Labour to come down on our side and lead the campaign.
Okay, and do you think we're going to win this dispute?
We will win this campaign. There are 1 million people who refuse to pay the poll tax in Scotland, which is 1 in 4 of the population. If that's transferred into England and Wales, there'll be 10 million people refusing to pay the poll tax. It'll be simply impossible for Thatcher and the Tories to continue.
Thank you.
But if you get the heads together, you sort it out for the people.
How do you feel Labour are responding to the poll tax?
The Labour hierarchy are not responding the right way at all. They're not with the people, they haven't got a clue, they're out of touch.
Do you have confidence in the Labour Party as a viable alternative government?
I've got confidence in the local Labour parties.
Okay.
It's when you get to a national level, that's when they can't do anything.
And do you think you'll win this dispute?
We'll win. We'll win.
Thank you.
I think so, yeah.
You're of course, in right. Do you have anything to say why you feel this poll tax unfair?
Well, for 18 months in this city, we've been trying to tell people the implications of the poll tax. Now they're learning for themselves. I've never believed that when people knew the truth, they'd accept the poll tax. They're not going to accept the poll tax. We don't want the Labour Council to accept the poll tax. We want the Labour Party to mount a campaign. In my opinion, there ought to be a general election now.
But do you feel that the Labour Party is mounting a campaign against the poll tax?
Well, the Labour Party has had an educational campaign, as they would put it, for the last year or so. But to my way of thinking, not enough Labour Party members, and particularly the leadership, have been out knocking on the doors like we have to know how strongly people feel. We want people organised and not left on their own and frightened.
Okay, and how do you feel the Labour councillors will vote here? Do you think, because Liverpool has a history of suffering and unemployment, do you feel that the Labour councillors are colluding with the Tory government over the poll tax?
Well, I think that the majority, all of the Labour councillors are opposed to the poll tax. I don't think there's anyone who supports it. The point is, are you going to support it in words? Are you going to actively campaign in support of those people who, through no fault of their own, not on principle, but can't afford to pay? Now, we're saying to those councillors, you were elected 2 years ago on your leaflet in opposed to poll tax. And we're asking you to stand by that, and I believe that the majority of them will.
Okay, Margaret Thatcher says that it's the problem of the Labour-held councils. It's their fault and the Tory ones are keeping the price down. How would you answer that?
Well, she would, wouldn't she? It's got nothing to do with spending at all. It's got everything to do with an attack on civil liberties. It means every man and woman over 18 is now down on a register somewhere in this country. It means you've got a universal identifying code for the first time. It means that Labour councils who cannot be beaten through the ballot box will be beaten by the poll tax if they implement it. Because either you can have a low poll tax and no services, or a high poll tax and people can't pay it. The Tories are totally and utterly undemocratic. Labour councillors are struggling to keep services going. My sympathies are with them, but I'm saying to them, this government doesn't care about people and it doesn't care about services. Labour councillors have got to stand with their people and organise the Labour Party to fight with them. We want the Tories out.